How's it going there, everybody? It's Mr. Zen over here, bringing you guys a brand new Dr. Stone chapter discussion. And for today's segment, guys, we're going to be talking about is chapter 2. And honestly, I'm loving the way that they're actually going with the scientific approach in these chapters, guys, because we're actually getting to see a closer look at how Senku actually goes about with his daily lives, as to what Taiju is actually doing. Because remember, from the previous chapter, we actually see that, it seems that Taiju is just a muscle-bound freak who's actually going about, and he's actually just, helping Senku out with the stuff that he can't do, while versus Senku himself is actually doing the science and technology in order to implement themselves into surviving, as you could say. Because it was funny how the chapter kind of started off with, of course, Senku saying, we gotta have to have food, so they actually go about and get some food. And of course, Taiju, of course, just grabs any plant and vegetable that he finds and brings it back. And of course, Senku, being overprotective and having a brain, of course, he uses that very thoughtful brain of his to actually weed out the poisonous ones and then eat the ones that are very edible. And I personally thought that was actually interesting, because I thought to myself that a lot of plant life is still alive, but how I've always wondered too at the same time, maybe did the plant life actually mature in a sense right there, as if did new organisms grow out in the wilderness. And it's entertaining to say that, because remember, nature itself is always evolving, and it was about, like, what did it say, 3,000 years, if I remember correctly, that they were all set in stone. So it makes me wonder, like, did plant life actually grow with it itself, or did it evolve with, as how you could say, Earth itself, in order for it to actually sustain new life onto the planet Earth? But so far we haven't seen that yet in this manga so far, because it's still setting the world in a sense. So maybe the humans are still there in this this apocalyptic world, you could kind of say. It's kind of entertaining, like I said. But nonetheless, though, while you could say Taiju was actually out there looking for more food, he finds grapes. And of course, that scene was very important, because he spits it out, and then of course the chapter continues, and it seems that Senku and Taiju are actually still deliberately trying to actually find a cure, or not necessarily a cure, but an explanation as to how to get rid of that petrification that all the humans are going about with, even the animals themselves. And it seems that Senku has been tinkering with lots of ideas as to how to get rid of that petrification, as he was actually hypothesizing himself, as well as to why did Senku and Taiju actually broke apart of the petrifications in such a limited time span. One was a year ahead and one was a year after. Like I said, they were still within the same time span, and they're just wondering what itself. And that is in itself, if I remember, Taiju, when he was out looking for, he found a cave where Senku was actually located at, and it seems that it was nitric acid, if I remember correctly, like basically the rat droppings of the cave roof that was actually just dripping onto Senku himself. He was born by feces, as you could say. That's pretty hilarious. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That's one way of looking at it, when you're gonna tell your grandchildren, oh yeah, I was born through feces. Yeah, just like how Jesus was born out of nothing. Yeah, I was born out of nothing as well. Yeah. It's pretty funny, though. I think that was more of like a pun on the author and stuff, as to say that, through science, we're able to make fantasy become reality. And that was the theme of it itself, that fantasy got destroyed in this new world that's going on. And I love the fact that, that it actually explained that later in the chapter, they were just tinkering away. They were trying to figure out ways as to how to get rid of the petrification. And that in itself, guys, is what they found was ethanol, or alcohol, as you may call it. Because remember, guys, Taiju found wine grapes. And of course, that's why, like I said, that was very important. He spat that out. He didn't like it because he didn't know what necessarily which kind of grapes they were. He just thought they were regular grapes. And that in itself then sped on throughout the rest of the whole entire chapter of Senku and Taiju actually trying to distill the ethanol away from the wine grapes itself. They're doing old school styles of crushing grapes onto like a barrel and dripping the the red wine, the grape wine into like you say a plastic bottle, and they even fermented their own type of wine themselves. They actually made it themselves, and it seems like they were enjoying it. But no, needless to say, time was still moving forward, and they were experimenting, and they finally got one of the birds that they've been testing everything out, and actually broke free from the petrification. And now these two are ready to actually go and save more humans, which is, I thought to myself, that's actually pretty entertaining that the Ethno was actually the one that actually saved everybody. And it's hilarious too that the character Senku is actually able to know how to do all this. Like, Jesus, man, Senku must have been a very studious kid when he was very young, very, very young age. But like I said, needless to say, folks, needless to say, this chapter was great overall. The chapter, I'm loving the way that the pacing is going. It's not going, needless to say, too far ahead. It's going at an evenly well outpaced that a lot of the viewers are still entertained, and it's the way that they're bringing the science into itself, into this manga. You could tell that the author is very, very, very well researched in learning how chemical bonds work, and maybe it's just high school science, of course, but still, needless to say, he isn't BSing around and actually just making fantasy up. He's actually bringing real world theories into his manga itself, that I'm personally liking how the manga chapter is going. But needless to say, guys, next chapter we're finally going to see Taiju's love actually get out of that petrification, because apparently that's going to be the next one, the case is to try it on a human. After distilling the wine itself, they're actually finally going to actually try it on a human being. Needless to say, though, I can't wait as to what kind of more apocalyptic endeavors they're gonna go through, because remember, the world setting is still a mystery as to what's going on. What other humans have already escaped, or what other if there's civilizations still out there in other parts of the human world. Like I said, the world setting is still mysterious as it is, but I'm still loving this manga as to how the pacing is going. But needless to say, like I said, let me know down in the comments below as to what you guys' thoughts on Dr. Stone chapter 2. And I personally, like I said, I'm loving the way. I'm gonna keep reading this series, and I want to see more of what's up ahead. I'm loving this. But like I said, guys, if you guys enjoy my content, don't forget to give a like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Dr. Stone manga chapter discussions. And as always, guys, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. But this is Mr. Zen, signing out.